At MR13, this Sentient Arm Cannon is interesting at least. Let's take a look on the Shedu, dropped from Symbolus on the Murex. From the missions that contain this Sentient Anomaly on the Railjack, you're gonna be getting this weapon. You can also buy it from other players. The set was around 52 plat by the time I'm recording this video. So stats wise, it's a pretty interesting weapon. Battery weapon, fully auto. Stats are humble, nothing too crazy. Has heat on the direct hit from the projectile and electricity on the radio attack. On hitting the target, it's gonna deal a radio attack. That's where you get the electricity from. Noisy, accuracy is not that good, fire rate is not that good, magazine also is not that good. The fire rate in the magazine kind of worked on its own, so it pretty much you don't waste a ton of you don't waste ammo too fast, so you're gonna be sitting on the reload too much. Completing your magazine will release a radio attack that will pretty much end or reset the sentient resistances. So with these stats, what can we build? Well, you can go for quite a lot of stuff actually. You can try viral, you can try hunter munitions, you can try corrosive, you can even make a fully radiation build that will benefit both the main projectile and the explosion. So let's take a look on a hunter munition build first. This was the one used on the level cap that I did with the Shedu a few days ago. If you don't have a Riven, which they shouldn't be that expensive, yeah, they're not as cheap as I thought. They're going for around 100 plat by the time I'm recording. So let's see, if you don't have a Riven, you can go with, who knows, hammer shot to get some more procs, but that's gonna be always up to you. You could try galvanized scope or even argon scope. Yeah. But one of the things that I would really recommend is for you to have a Bane. Because you're going to have a bunch of dots going on, and so your Bane is going to be pretty darn good on this weapon. You're going to benefit the heat a lot, you're going to benefit the electricity a lot, and also the slash if you're going to use hunter munitions. Or base damage you're getting from the arcane. Another thing that I need to mention is that galvanized aptitude stacks multiplicatively on this weapon, so priming your enemy is gonna make you deal a crap ton of damage more. Deadhead is ideal for getting the damage on your bleeds, but it is not as easy to really just get it going to start it. Another good let's say a good thing about having electricity damage is that we actually, depending on the enemy that we're shooting, if we manage to kill with the electricity proc on their head, it will actually trigger the galvanized, arcane deadhead, primary deadhead. So you can see that we're getting a pretty decent amount of damage here. Got nothing too crazy going on buffing the weapon. The damage itself without the Riven, so it's pretty good. If we prime the enemies, it would be much more crazy. Oh my god! Do a round with a. Okay. With them primed. Another thing you can notice that I didn't spend my entire magazine, and the thing is, if you deplete your magazine, it's gonna take 1 second to start a reload, all the delay. But if you don't, if you leave at least one projectile, it's gonna be 0.4 seconds to completely reload again. That's how I've been doing with this weapon for the most times. You can even see it on the level cap video I was doing this. It felt pretty good. Really, after you get things going with this, it's pretty good. If you armor strip, the weapon will perform just amazing. You will feel pretty freaking good. I mean, electricity and heat work just amazing on armor stripped enemies. And we're talking just the Grineer here. The Grineer and potentially the Corrupted. And talking about armor stripping, because we have a heat here, we'll already get 50% reduction on our enemy's armor, which is pretty good. So we can try Viral. Again, I have a Riven here that could be swapped by... Here's gonna be Vile Acceleration, actually. I really like to have a Fire Rate mod. I don't feel like it is a... It impacts the weapon too heavily. I don't feel like I'm like reloading a lot, even though it's not a lot of a magazine capacity that we have. It's good to be using that. Still missing one stack. There we go. Just by adding that extra viral, already feels really good. Let's take a look on a corrosive build. Now here I actually wanted to get some more status chance. That's why I went with double status mods. Double status chance mod, but for this one I swapped. Instead of having Deadhead, I'm using Dexterity. I just forgot it at the beginning. Let me just do something here. Summon them again. It's not gonna be perfect because by the time I get my stacks, I'm gonna have lose the other ones. Yeah, it doesn't seem to perform as good as well as the other ones, but once you prime it, it becomes kind of crazy. Because really, the galvanized aptitude it's just a huge deal for this weapon. It really is. We could make a radiation build, but how viable or good that is, I'm not really sure. That's why I haven't made one. But if you build for radiation, you're gonna have radiation on both, and you combine electricity. It's electricity heat, so both your stuff will be dealing increased, not only from the mods, but the extra innate damage types that are present on a weapon. So pretty interesting. For me, I prefer the Hunter Munition build. I think it's pretty good. And I think this weapon can be a all-rounder, let's say. You can even add some AoE. It's primed Firestorm. You can add that. I'm not the biggest fan of this, but it will work. And I would say especially if you're armor stripping, then you'll have a pretty decent weapon to deal with the crowds. I honestly think, I haven't tested this yet to be honest, but I honestly think that the damage is gonna fall off pretty quick. Pretty fast. I'm getting a good amount of CC because of the electricity, electricity from the weapon. Damage. Okay. For the surrounding targets, it's not that good. Probably, yeah, it's hard for me to tell what's holding up the damage. If it is the slash procs or if it is the electricity. With armor strip would probably be the electricity. Yeah, this would be the build for me. I would use it no problem against the Grenier. Could use against the Infested, but probably would go with a Corrosive build. For the Corpus, it's kind of tricky. Usually you either use Toxin or Electricity. Here you can't have Toxin without building something first, because, well, you pretty much have to build Radiation, I think. Because if you don't, it will just combine with the elements, and yeah, that can be... It is a double-edged sword, having innate elements like this. Usually turns out pretty well, but, you know. You can also build specifically for one element or the other. You can build specifically for electricity or for heat. But of course, doing that will just turn one or the other into radiation because, yeah, it's innate, so what you're gonna do. And during my level cap run, I was able to kill level cap Demolus with a primer without anything too extra. And another great thing about this weapon is that buffing it is actually pretty easy, let's say. It's just having Roar will massively increase your damage, increase your heat damage, will increase your electricity damage, and also your bleeds if you're using the Hunter Premonition build. That's really just what I would go for. If I'm not wrong, this weapon is actually pretty popular on some regions, specific regions. One thing that can be an issue for some people, it is the amount of effects, visual effects that it has, the explosion and everything like that. But one thing that you can do that works for a good amount of these explosive weapons is to put your energy color on black. It helps a bit, you know, especially on the depleting the magazine. It's not as bright, it doesn't hurt as much. For this weapon, it isn't as good, but it's still a bit better than having flashing bright colors just in front of you. Yeah. Also, forgot to mention, there is stagger, unfortunately. But don't shoot direct at your feet and you'll be good, for the most part. Yeah, I think this is really an interesting weapon. I wouldn't call it OP, wouldn't call it must have it, super OP, oh my god. But it's an interesting weapon to have, like not a lot of maintenance, let's say, to just keep using it. Yeah, you don't have to worry about reload. Being a battery weapon, that can be a good point for some and a bad point for others, but I actually think it's okay. The only issue you could have with that is that if you need to take down a, let's say, a priority target and your ammo just depleted, then you're gonna have to wait like what, 0.4 or 1 second to maybe 2 to get it fully reloaded. Yeah, I just think it isn't a big problem. And it looks cool. AF. I mean, you have it's like you cut a Sentient in half and just glued it to your arm. It feels badass. And it is really, I think it's one of 2 weapons that can strip sentient resistances. The other one is the Bosmo. I think those are the only ones that can do that. If you're not using the operator to attack, you avoid damage and stuff too. And with the resistances, or I think even Zada's Whisper can do that, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, it can do it passively on its own. Just get close to the sentient and deplete their magazine. That's what I think about the Shedu. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this video. If you like this format, let me know. Also, if you want another weapon to be reviewed like this, leave it in the comments. Leave it a like and consider subscribing.
Till next time.